I keep my gun in my drawers, duck in the sad news. My phone say 7 missed calls, I know it's bad news. This life had left me so scarred, I'm knowing that's true. Remember time got so hard, I got it tattooed. I ain't did no shows, but made some bread. I gotta keep the family fed. Look, just talk to Pops about the feds. I ain't gon' lie, he had me scared. I feel him coming, nigga. I'll keep on running, nigga. If we go down bad, keep it 100, nigga. Girl all in my ear screaming, spend some time. I promise I'll be here when I can get some time. Right now, I gotta get what's mine. I'll be thugging to the end of time. And fuck these niggas cause they lame. Since they love saying my name. Make sure you write the truest in the motherfucking game on my tombstone and they bury me. By the river they will carry me. Finally I'll be resting in peace. Finally, I'll get to fly away. Somewhere, someday. Fuck these niggas cause they lame. Since they love saying my name. Make sure you write the truest in the game on my tombstone and they bury me. By the river they will carry me. Finally I'll be resting in peace. Finally, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's after this shit.
Finally,
everybody think they go
finally,
but fuck it, man. I sleep when I'm alone. This shit come with a lot of pressure. I'm a young nigga. Believe that, man. I'm hustling.
Finally, by the river they carry me. I'll be resting in peace. Finally,
What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Look, it's Friday night, man, and you already know what we got to do. We are here for our Friday live Q&A, answering your guys' Dynasty trade questions. Appreciate everybody who is in the chat early. Johnny, A-Rod, Mac, Co, everybody. Appreciate you guys for being here. Means a lot to me. But look, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. NFL training camp is already kind of in full swing. I see we got this one. This one made me laugh on the intro. I saw it come in. It says, season's almost here and I'm ready to commit crimes and try to be sent to trade jail. So, I mean, it is right here, man. It is right here. We got a lot of stuff already happening. Some good. You know, Malik Neighbors is practicing in full. They're saying he might not even go onto the pup. Some bad with guys like Ricky Pearsall, maybe, you know, not going to be available for the entire season because of an injury. Yeah, there's just a lot going on, man. So appreciate you guys. Like I said, everybody who's in here. If you got questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat. My one request for you guys today is if you do ask a question and I answer your question, do me a favor and hit that like button. That's a trade that I want to make today. You know, we usually talk Dynasty trades. This is my live stream trade. If I answer your question, I'm going to trade you for a like on the stream. So go ahead and do that. And shout out the super chat here from Mac Jester immediately. Says, took the blue pill and tried passing the time watching your video just to have the mood spoiled by Drake music. Come on, man. Drake music, that's Rod Wave, bro. What are we talking about? Like, if we're going to be... First of all, I mean, if we're going to disrespect Drake, then we can, you know, that is what it is. But if you're going to disrespect Drake, at least get it right. You got to at least know who it is before you disrespect somebody. And he says, I'm just here so I won't get fined. So I guess I won't get too mad at you. Patty, what's up? Says, Andrew, my guy, what's a realistic add to BTJ to get to Tet, CD, or JSN? It's a 14-team Superflex starting 9. Yeah, I mean, I think for all of those guys, obviously that's different levels. Like, I think Tet is a level below CD, CD is a level below JSN. So it's probably going to have to be, you know, just to go from BTJ to Tetero McMillan, I would assume that that manager would want to at least talk bare minimum conversations, a 2028 first round pick. If you're going to go to CD, it's probably going to be a first plus. And then if you're going to go to JSN, I think it's probably BTJ plus 2 first. That's probably where it gets you. And keep in mind, 14 team, you know, those first, especially the late ones, are going to be a little bit devalued. So that's why. A-Rod, I didn't mean to skip over you, bro. Says, still time to take back the Ingram take. Tagged me on Twitter. I saw it. I don't get too moved by too much of this training camp stuff. I like to filter some of that out. You know, guys make one good play. I ain't too worried about it. Now, guys show up for 2 weeks of training camp. I'm worried about it. But 1 or 2 plays, I ain't too worried. Rumor has it, A-Rod, that Sean Payton might be wanting a guy like Taysom Hill to come over and play some tight end for the Broncos. That would be kind of crazy. What's up, iKill? It's going well. Hopefully everything's going well with you. What's up, Trevor? What's up, Alex? Alex says, I'm just going to do it anyway since you answered my question on the Dynasty Nerds trade show. Well, I appreciate that. You know, fair trade already. You know, I scratched your back earlier. Now you can scratch mine. Grant says, always pop in to throw a like, my guy, or throw my guy a like. Same message. I just said it differently. So I guess it got jumbled in my brain, but I appreciate you, Grant. Means a lot. Let's see. We haven't had our draft yet, but the guy with Pearsall is likely to draft Price. I have Emmanuel Wilson. You trying to get the handcuff value right away for Ricky or wait to squeeze when it hurts? That's an interesting question. Because for me, I think a guy like Emmanuel Wilson, he's a player that I'm looking as a short-term window type of play anyways, and really just a handcuff. And I don't even know if he is the handcuff, because rumor has it that Zach Charbonnet is ahead of schedule. Now, I think that's a little bit fugazi. I don't know if we actually have that happening right now. But that's what they're saying. And then you also have guys like George Holani who have been involved. So an asset like that and Emmanuel Wilson, if I can flip him for Pearsall, yes, I'm down to do that. And I would probably try and squeeze that right now while it's definitely hurting with Ricky Pearsall. But I guess the bigger piece of conversation here, I guess to give you my raw, unfiltered thoughts on Ricky Pearsall. I kind of talked about this earlier today on the Dynasty Nerds live stream that we were on this morning. And Ricky Pearsall, man, it's so unfortunate because he is a player that I have rooted for. Obviously, you know, he started off his career kind of behind the 8 ball already, not due to his own actions, just kind of stuff that happened, you know, the cards that life dealt him for a second. And then, what Mac? I'm sitting here being serious, and then he says Unc Alert. I think he's talking about the guy who was talking about Drake music. That's himself. Oh my God. Yeah, there you go. Unc Alert for you. Let me get back to the serious talk, because that just caught me off guard. But yeah, he's a guy that I've been rooting for, been dealt a rough hand. It feels like at this point in time, like he's given zero incentive for San Francisco to go out and give him the 5th-year option or pick that up. Probably not really done anything to earn a contract extension from San Francisco either. And the fact that they went out this year and they drafted a guy like Dejon Stribling just kind of makes it to where it feels like they're lining up some things to kind of, whether we knew it or not, give it a make or break year for Ricky. And if Ricky's going to be hurt and miss the entire season, it may be wraps for Ricky in San Francisco. That's not to say that he can't go do it, but usually when you move off of your first team and you go on to a new team, it typically doesn't happen. Now, you do have, you know, some circumstances in the past, like Chris Carter, you know, who ended up going to a second team and didn't work out with his rookie team, and then he goes out and has a great year, or a great season, career. You know what I'm saying? And then, could that happen for Ricky? Yeah. My whole point of going into this rant is I think with Ricky Pearsall, I'm kind of okay to just not, you know, take that on anymore. Like I've had Ricky in a couple of leagues. I had him a lot in my rookie drafts. I've kind of recently been, over the last 2 years, kind of getting rid of some of these. I have one more share. I am trying to unload it. If I can get anything remotely close to a late 27 second or a late 28 second, I will happily take that, wash my hands clean, and move on. But to come back to your original question here, I know we spent a lot of time on this one, is Emmanuel Wilson, that's not obviously a second round pick value. So if you can make a gamble here on Wilson and get Pearsall, I'm okay with you doing it. It's just, for me, I think it looks like the curtains are closing on Ricky Pearsall, or what that could be moving forward. So Yeah, long way to start that one off. What's up, man? Appreciate you. Henry 2027 first for Williams 28 first. I'm receiving Henry. What is the thoughts? I wanted Henry for the win now and early to mid 27 pick. I mean, I will take Henry in the 27 first. I value the 27 first higher than the 28 first, and I think Henry and Williams are comparable to an extent, especially for a strong contender. So, yeah, just give me Henry in the 27 first. I have no issues with that one. Yeah, man. Unfortunate. I was one of them. What's up, man? Canadian Megatron. Love to see it. 10-team Superflex 6-point passing touchdown. Traded away Purdy for the 28-101. The roster is awful with no 27-1 and 2 and 27-3. My other quarterbacks are Dart, Shuck, Jones, and Penix. I will be honest. I understand, totally understand that this team is in bad shape and no real way to get better. But I don't love calling picks 2 years into the future locked in at the 101 or the 102. So I'm okay with you saying it's an early one. But 101 for 28, 6-point passing touchdown. I'll be real here. I think I'd rather had Purdy, at least today. I know it's a 10 team, but I think Purdy maybe it's between him and Dart would be your highest scoring quarterback this year. I think Shuck's a fine quarterback 3 in 10 teams, and then you have Jones and Penix. Honestly, what I would have been trying to do is probably unloading Tyler Shuck, getting what I could for him, and then just moving forward with Purdy, Dart, and Jones as my QB3, because I think in 10-man, Daniel Jones is more than okay to have as your QB3. But, I mean, if it ends up being the 101, right now, we can't really tell you who's going to be the 101 in 2028, especially with NIL, but it's a gamble. It's a gamble for sure. Lemon plus an early 27-second gets you what? Types of wide receivers and running backs trying to tier up. Well, let's take a look. Because I recently am going through, actually, I'm in the process currently going through and updating all of my rankings. Because over the next 2 weeks, you guys are going to get rankings updates out the ass on the channel. It's going to be quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. Every positional group will get their own video over the next 2 weeks. Makes it easy on me. I'm about to be traveling out of town, so I can bang all of those out, and then you guys obviously will enjoy that content. But if I'm tearing up from Makai Lemon, a 27-second, it's one of those things where it's an early one gives you a little bit of value. I don't know how much value it's actually going to get you, but if you could get into I think you could have done this maybe before the extension, but maybe a Chris Olave, a Garrett Wilson. Those would be kind of names that I'm looking at. Nico Collins would be a name that I'm looking at. Maybe a Ladd McConkey. If I'm looking at the running back position specifically, could that get you into a Judkins? Could it get you into maybe James Cook if you're a contending team? Like, could you do that one? I doubt it because his value seems to be pretty high right now for good reason. But I think for what you're talking about, Garrett Wilson feels like a very realistic buy with the second and Lemon. I think Pearsall's cooked. I liked him too. If you get shot your rookie year and you weren't the cause, I'm here for you. 100. I mean, if you can't not, I mean, maybe there are people who are, but I just don't know why you would not want to root for the kid to end up turning it around. Because like I said, you grind your whole life to try and get into the league. You get into the league, you surprise people. You're a first-round pick. You go to the Niners, which is a good, well-ran franchise. And then, you just start behind the 8 ball right away, and it's not your fault. It's just nonsense, that kind of got you starting behind the 8 ball, like I said. So yeah, it's somebody that you want to root for sure. Thoughts on Stribling in redraft and Dynasty now with Pearsall news? I think he gets a little bump, but I think really you got to look at San Francisco and say it's going to be Mike Evans at the 1. I'm interested to see what happens at the 2. part of me is nervous that familiarity in the system, relationships with Shanahan, things like that are going to get Debo on the football field more than Stribling right now. So for redraft purposes, I think Stribling is somebody that I would just, maybe with my last pick, I'm taking a shot on, but I'm not really reaching for him. I'll tell you what, I don't have a ton of Dejon Stribling in best ball right now either. He's a guy that I have, let's see, I have 2% Dejon Stribling right now in best ball, so obviously not too high on him. And I didn't have a lot of Pearsall either, for the record. I had 4% Pearsall, so it's not like I was high on either of them. That wide receiver room is one that's tough to figure out right now. I think it's Mike Evans, but he's overpriced in the wide receiver room. For Dynasty, yeah, you want Stribling because he's the one who has the longest shelf life, it looks like, of all of these guys, but I don't think their future wide receiver one is currently on the roster. I think they go get a future wide receiver one in 2027's draft class or 2028's draft class, or free agency over the 1 of the 2 years. So we'll see what happens, but I don't think their true number one of the future is on the roster currently. Caleb Douglas, big day in Miami. I mean, that wide receiver room is wide open, dude. So anybody can go in and take advantage of it if they go out and have a couple of good days, stack a couple of them back to back. A-Rod says, no lie, bro. I'd be devastated if Taysom goes to Denver. From a fantasy perspective, it would be tragic. I agree, but I guess Sean Payton likes to use Taysom Hill, but it feels like Taysom Hill always has like 2 weeks of relevancy in fantasy, and then you never know when they're coming. Lots of Cyrus Allen hype too. Yeah, Cyrus Allen's supposedly working with the first team, been having some good days. I mean, if you guys have been following the channel, you know we talked about Cyrus Allen at OTAs, rookie minicamp. He kind of had some good days there too. Seems like he's been really impressive. And we'll see what he does. You know, overall, still a lot to kind of overcome in that room. I think Rashee Rice obviously being the number one. Travis Kelce's going to be involved. Worthy's still there, but behind those guys, you got to feel like that wide receiver 3 role is open, and Cyrus Allen could step into that and take advantage of some of those opportunities. And, you know, if Worthy or Rice or anybody misses time, you know, more opportunity will find its way towards Cyrus Allen. So I think he's a guy right now that people should be paying attention to an extent. I definitely have a lot of shares of Cyrus Allen. Like I said, if you guys have been following the channel, we've talked about him quite a bit. But yeah, he is somebody that I'm liking the buzz that we're hearing. There's still a couple of doors, though, that we have to get through before he's like fantasy football relevant. Trying to go back-to-back in my big money league and need a running back. Would you be comfortable trading a late first for Javonte Williams or 2 firsts and Jonah Williams for Love Achane? Yeah, I mean, I think if I had the choice of these, I would rather just go the 2 firsts and try and go right into the Jeremiah Love or the Achane. If I have to pick between the two, I would rather have Jeremiah Love than Devon Achane, but I'm not mad about either of them. I think Devon Achane is a little bit undervalued at the moment. But if it's already going to, you know, if it's only going to cost me 1 more first and Jonah Coleman, which for the record, I don't really believe Jonah Coleman is really more than a handcuff at this point in time, and that's the handcuff to J.K. Dobbins, I would rather just trade that and the extra first and go into that elite tier, because I don't think Javonte Williams is going to get into that elite tier. So, yeah, do the 2 firsts for Love and Achane if you can. Injured players stay injured, and that's why I'm scared of Tyson. Yeah, I mean, I can hear you on that to an extent. I'm not here to deny that there is risk with the profile or the history that you saw with Jordan Tyson, but I think his ceiling is very high. Arguably, in my opinion, the highest ceiling of all of the rookie wide receivers in this year's class. I think Carnell Tate has a safe floor and a very good prospect profile, but I think Tyson, while being riskier, has a higher ceiling. And I don't think his injuries are correlated that much. I mean, you do have a hamstring injury that has lingered. That's the one of the injuries that I'm kind of paying attention to right now. But the knee injury that he had was kind of a fluky injury that happened. Then he had like a collarbone injury. These are not related. It's that hamstring that's repetitive that I've seen carry over into the early parts of OTAs that I do want to pay attention to. May and Judkins for McBride and Chuba. Start 10. 0.25 tight end premium. Start 2 quarterbacks. My quarterbacks right now are Nix, Brissett. Yeah, this one is super easy for me then. It's going to be May and Judkins by a pretty substantial moment, or a pretty substantial amount. 0.25 tight end premium doesn't do much for me. The fact that your QB room is relying on Brissett and Willis and Bryce Young at QB2 and a super flex or start 2 QB, just give me Drake May, man. So yeah, I would probably just take that side of the deal pretty quickly. 10 team, 1 quarterback, PPR. I am one of the 2 top contenders, well above the rest of the league. Finished second every year, 5 years in a row. Holy shit. That is just bad luck, Shane. I'm so sorry to hear that. What is the most that you would give on top of Brees or Hendo for Ginty? The most. I think it would be, I would go Brees, a mid 27 first, and probably a second. And that would be the same thing for Hendo. So a 1 and a 2, as long as the 27 first is not top 3 potential, top 4 potential. So I think a 1 and a 2 is fair to go to Ginty. That's where I'd be starting my conversation at and hopefully ending my conversation at. I don't typically try to do the whole let me start super low in my negotiations. So usually what I come with is close to already what I'm willing to pay. So I'd say the 1 and the 2 on top of Brees. Judkins, Judkins is kind of in that same tier with Brees and Hendo for me. So they kind of all are in that same tier. Traded McBride for Ladd and 27 first. I am a contender, but I felt selling high was the move. Yeah, I think that's good value. It's a wide receiver that has potential to finish in the top 12 to 16 type of range. And then 2 first next year. You can use that as ammunition right now to go buy yourself some more production. My thoughts would be, can you take 2 of those first, the 2 that you just got, and go spend them on Tyler Warren? And then you just have Tyler Warren and Ladd McConkey for your Trey McBride. That would be something you could do. Or could you go use one of those first and buy Kyle Pitts? Use the other first to go buy yourself a running back on a contender. You know what I mean? I would be using that as ammunition now for your team. Thoughts on what you could be getting for Dak and Stephon Diggs, trying to gain future picks on a rebuilding team? Dak, you at bare minimum, absolute bare minimum, you got to be getting a first round pick for. And I would probably say, if I'm a rebuilder and the best I can get, bare minimum I can get is a mid 27 first in a super flex. I think I'm at least entertaining that type of deal. While I do think Dak is more valuable than that, next year's draft class, the quarterback position should be pretty good. So you should be able to just replace Dak with a guy who's about 12 years younger or 10 years younger next year in your rookie draft. Stephon Diggs, he's kind of a guy that you're probably going to want to hold until he signs, if he signs. Because I think right now, really the only thing you could even ask for without getting laughed at would be a 3rd round pick. But your hope is that he signs somewhere cool like Washington, and you can hopefully get a late second for him. But that's probably the play on Diggs, is you got to wait and hold until he signs somewhere cool. And if not, then you lose value on Diggs, but it's probably a 3rd round pick, which is all you could get anyways right now. But yeah, Dak, the lowest I would take would be re-rolling that 1 mid-first next year to try and get the QB. And that's an absolute bare minimum, but I'd be trying to get more than that. Probably a 1 and a 2, whatever, you know what I mean? So, haven't made the Purdy trade yet, asking in advance. Okay, yeah, I probably would hold off on that one then. I offered Shuck and he didn't bite. It's fine. I think some people he's polarizing. Tyler Shuck is. Let's see, where are we at? We already answered all of these. Why am I clicking on all of them? I got offered Mason and Debo and Njoku for Michael Wilson. I'm contending it would be for depth, but I feel like those guys have 2 more. I feel like these guys have 2 more if that would make this trade, or look for something else. Yeah, to me, this is just garbage. Somebody's trying to give you garbage for a guy that can be valuable, and as a contender, I'm not interested in it. Debo, we'll be lucky if we can consistently play him. David Njoku, I think, is the tight end 2 behind Aronde Gadsden. We'll be lucky if we can play him. And Jordan Mason is still splitting time with Aaron Jones. Probably the most valuable of the group, but he's not more valuable than Michael Wilson. So to me, this is just somebody put together a KTC offer of garbage and said, hey, this is probably fair, would you do it? And my answer to this would be no. So Michael Wilson would be staying on my team right here. Basically traded Ladd and got a 28 first, got T a 28 first and 29 seconds. I like that one. I mean, Ladd and T are similar. Obviously, Ladd is a younger player, so that's probably why his ADP's up. But T, a 28 first and 2 seconds, I think you could get similar production from the two guys, and then you get some future draft capital. So I don't have an issue with this one at all. Am I bugging for trying to move a 27 second for Parker Washington? No. I mean, to be honest, I've seen Parker Washington go for 27 second kind of as the starting price in a lot of my leagues right now. I've seen him go for 2 27 seconds. I've seen him go for a single 27 second. I even saw him go for a 28 first in one of my leagues. So the hype is kind of crazy on Parker Washington. If you believe in him, single 27 second is not crazy to me at all. Johnny says, thoughts on Ayuk? CTE feels like Antonio Brown crash out. Yeah, he's somebody I'm not touching, man. It's over. It's over with Ayuk. And it's just, even if it's not, I could see this being the Deontay Johnson situation where, do you remember those years? There was like 2 years back where Deontay Johnson played for the Texans and then, got kicked out of the locker room or whatever because he was having some issues, and then he goes to Baltimore and then he doesn't go onto the football field. This feels like that situation to me. So while Antonio Brown is the most popular crash out, this very much feels like the Deontay Johnson, and Deontay Johnson is obviously no longer even rosterable in Dynasty League. So I think Ayuk, for me, I'm done with him. I had him on one team, and it was a 10-man league, so keep that in mind when I say this, but I traded him for two-thirds in a 10-man league, and I felt like I got away with highway robbery. I'm happy to take my thirds and re-roll those down the road. Offered a guy 329 seconds and Harvey for K9. He wanted Judkins with 3 picks. Is that a hard pass? It's not a hard pass. I think your offer initially with Harvey and the 329s feels light for K9, but Judkins in 3 seconds for K9 feels a little bit too much for me, only because I'm a Judkins believer. So if this was my team and all he wanted to do was the Judkins in the 3 picks, I'd probably just rather keep Judkins in my picks and not take K9. Dixon said, I won the chip last year. Is it worth selling my 27 first and 2 seconds for a running back, which I need? Who should I target? Well, I mean, look, if you won the championship last year and it looks like you have a good chance to go win it again this year, there's no reason why you shouldn't at least explore selling your 27 first. What I would be trying to do if I was just trying to go spend all of that draft capital, the 27 first and the 2 seconds on one guy, I think you got to be looking in that tier of like Taylor, Cook, Kenneth Walker that we just talked about, Quinshon Judkins. Like, you got to be looking in that grouping. But if I'm a contender, obviously I'd rather buy the older guys that can give me more production, that being James Cook and Jonathan Taylor. So if those managers are middle of the pack or at least open to getting out of those older players, I say older, in air quotations, if they're willing to get out of those guys right now for a first and 2 seconds, I have no issue with you going to do that to try and win a championship. The reality is, if you win, you're going to be playing with house money for the next 5 to 7 years, depending on what the payouts are for your league. So I would have no issue doing that. I'm looking to trade Tootin in my 204. Looking maybe add a third for K9 or Judkins. Is this fair value? KTC has value close. I would say no, it's not fair value. I would expect it to be more. I know KTC, you can start throwing stuff in and it starts giving this value adjust. They have like a value adjustment thing that I don't love in their trade calculator. I think, to be honest, if you're going for a K9 or a Judkins, I'm just speaking from the fact, like, if I was the K9 or the Judkins manager, you would at least have to come to me with Tootin, that 204. And honestly, like, I'd probably say a 28 first. Like, I think the value is off by probably that much. I think that third has to go to like a 28 first for me to consider it. So yeah, it's going to be tough. But also, people are like hot and cold on Tootin, so it depends on how this guy feels about Tootin in your league. maybe you can go 2 seconds and try and go for Judkins. I think K9 is going to be more hyped. Appreciate that one, Kevin. Amstel says, if Jadarian Price has a bad camp, who'd you take at 5 in a rookie draft? Well, Jadarian Price would not be in 5 at all in my consideration. I mean, unless you're talking about 1 QB. But in a Superflex format, Jadarian Price doesn't crack my top 5 still. My top 5 is going to be Jeremiah Love, Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, Fernando Mendoza, Mekhi Lemon, and that is my top 5. Jadarian Price would be number 6. But if it's a super flex, even if Jadarian Price has a bad camp, you probably still take him at 5. Wait, did I say if it's a super flex? If it's a 1 QB, you probably still take Jadarian Price at 5. But in a super flex, I don't see a situation where you would. That's interesting. I don't know if you're trolling, Johnny, but makes sense, I guess. What do you add to Rome to get to London? Again, this is another one of those ones where it's like you probably got to add a first. Rome and a late 27 first to try and get yourself to London. That's probably where you're starting at. What's good, Steve? Appreciate you. Kings 1990 powder blue Lakers hat. Come on now. Come on. 10 by 10 PPR Superflex 6-point passing touchdown, half-point tight end premium, mid startup round 8. Jaden Daniels, Genty, Javonte, Emeka, T, Tyler Warren, Jordan Love. Just want your thoughts. Want to be flexible with my squad. I mean, I think it's built pretty balanced right now with Jaden and Love as your QBs. I think that's fine. Emeka and T, fine. I probably want to add another wide receiver here soon. Tyler Warren is obviously great at tight end. I think you probably want another wide receiver here soon. But other than that, I like what you got. Javonte is fine for running back too. So, yeah, I mean, good team. I'd probably just here with one of your next couple of picks, depending on, I mean, play best player available, but if the best player available is a wide receiver, I'm probably leaning that direction to keep adding some depth. Tyson to the moon. I saw the GM saying that the hammy wasn't an issue in OTAs. They were just trying to be safe with him. He's my wide receiver 1 in the class as well. Can't put my fingers on a redraft though. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing, right? Like, he's a player that probably in redraft ends up being... It's tough. I feel disconnected because, you know, over previous years I've done the redraft content, but this year I haven't. And I'm not planning on it. So if you guys were looking for that, I apologize. We kind of made a video about that earlier in the offseason. But let's see where Jordan Tyson's going in best ball right now. It's probably the best indication that I have. I want to say he's going... Yeah, he's kind of going at that 5-6 turn. Right around where BTJ is going, Rome, Marvin. He's kind of in that group of guys. I think it's a fair price to have him in that range. I think the offense is going to be good. Kellen Moore has been a good play caller, and I think Tyler Shuck has the opportunity to go out and ball out. So probably right around there. Somebody you'd probably feel the best with if he's your wide receiver 3 in a redraft. I think we just answered that one, right? Yeah, pretty much. I put a new vote poll on my channel. Can you please vote? I don't know what that is. Sorry, bro. I don't know what that is. Don't know what you're talking about. Caleb says Josh Allen, BTJ, Kincaid, or T-Law Jefferson Pitts in a Superflex start 8. Start 8 is insane. But I think you probably have to go in a start 8. You probably have to go with T-Law, Jefferson, and Pitts. That's probably the route that I would go. Ayukin would love to get 1/3 back, let alone 2. Yeah, man, whatever. The guy that bought him thought that Ayuk's gonna be a commander, and that's the only thing is you got to find the one person who thinks he's gonna be a commander and then try and sell to him. Bucky or Scatterboo in a vacuum? I probably lean Bucky here in a vacuum. Egbuka and Purdy or May and Judkins? Probably May and Judkins. I like Ibuka a lot, but it's the difference in quarterback value. I think Ibuka and Judkins are comparable. May is tiers above Purdy right now. Got offered a mid to late 28 first for Jalen Waddle on a rebuilder. Worth, or should I hold for in-season value? The only other thing that I think you might be able to get differently is a 27 first. So if you want to hold for in-season value and get a 27 first, that's fine. But I have no issue with it being the mid to late 28 first right now, because I think that's probably fair value. And as a rebuilder, it's not going to give you any points on your roster. So if you're, rebuilding with other people in your league and you guys are kind of racing to see who can get Jeremiah Smith, you may want to get those points off the roster sooner rather than later. Just something to think about. What's your favorite website for trade valuing? KTC seems to value picks pretty I can't even speak. Picks pretty heavily. Is that good or bad? I think for the most part, all of them have their flaws. So I can't really tell you, what's going to be the best. I do think KTC has value as a resource, but I just don't think plugging players into their calculator is a good resource. I think they're a good resource for seeing a snapshot picture of where the current market is. So, being able to go out and see okay, Hampton's trended up. The consensus kind of views him about the RB5, RB6. That's valuable to me to be able to go see that where the community is. And I like to do that sometimes where, like I just said recently, I'm going through and I'm updating all of my rankings, right? And I like to see sometimes where am I against the consensus. I just made a post about that on X recently where I've tried to, look at Cam Ward's situation. And while there is things in his situation that I like the Brian Daboll ad, I like Carnell Tate, I like Wan'Dale Robinson. I think all of these are signs towards improvement for Cam Ward. I'm still lower than consensus, and I guess I wouldn't have known that because I felt like before I looked at consensus, I thought I was kind of on par, but I am still low. So that's kind of how I like to use that resource, is just to kind of see where I stack against consensus and then use that to find holes in general value. So for example, if I know that I'm 5 spots lower at the quarterback position on Cam Ward than most people are, I should probably be trying to sell Cam Ward for somebody that I have valued above him. So hopefully that makes sense. But I don't think a lot of these calculators actually are worth doing too much when it comes to putting picks in. I think the best, and this is going to sound so generic as advice, but it's honestly, Dixon, it's probably going to be one of the better things that I can tell you. One of the best pieces of trade advice I can give you is, if you're thinking of sending a trade offer, one, you're going to have your own values, right? It's okay to have your own values in Dynasty. But if you're sending a trade offer to somebody, think about it from the other end. Say, if this was reversed and somebody sent me this offer for these players, would I consider it or would I just decline it? And if that answer is I probably wouldn't consider that, it's probably not a good trade offer. So that's just the one piece of advice that I would give, is just try and reverse that trade in your mind before you send it off and see if it's something that somebody would do. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't think there's any great trade calculators out there. We'll see. Who would be good to target at the 201 12-team league? Well, 12-team Superflex. My 201 right now. Let me pull this up. I'm going to share this actually, just so you guys can see. So Devin, this is a tool that I have. It's free. You can use it. It's ffbdraftkit.com. These are my rookie rankings for this year. So my 201 in your 12-man league, I'm kind of looking in this range. Unfortunately, kind of tier 4 is where it starts to fall off for me. But if you can get a Stowers or a Boston or a Bernard, those would kind of be the top guys in this range for me. I do like Bernard a lot, Bernard is a player who's kind of just been a my guy for me in this process. I think he does a lot of things well. You look at the advanced analytics, though, people don't really love him because there's just not a lot here for him. Guy that played at multiple schools, but kind of Bernard has been a guy that I've taken early in the seconds this year. Guys like Boston I've seen fall because people like Jonah Coleman or whatever. So FFB Draft Kit, this is my free rookie rankings that you can access. So if you want to, you can go check those out. Jadavian Price, one of the 103, insane. What's the sell price for Jordan Love in a super flex? I mean, he is probably a guy that you need to get. I don't know if he's a. I mean, just in a bubble, I'm on the fence between like 2 firsts and like 1.5 firsts plus maybe something. Like that's kind of where I'm at with Jordan Love. I have him in my rankings. I think is my QB 14 right now. 14 in my rankings. So that's just off the top of the head. I don't cement that. If you see it 15 or whatever in my video that comes out later next week. But I think he's about 14. So I need like 1.5 to 2 firsts for him, just in a bubble to get out of him. Judkins or Tyson? I think I would go Judkins right now. Been going through my rosters. 102 for Genty. I've also got the 101. Yeah, if I can sell my 102 and get Ashton Genty, I'm doing that all day long, 24/7, 365. Like, I'm not even thinking about that one. That one is one that I will make 100 times out of 100 times. As an Olave owner, I love to see his new contract. Yeah, I mean, me too, man. He's kind of somebody that I felt was getting a little bit disrespected this offseason to an extent, because just felt like, you know, he went out and performed and was healthy, and then everybody was like, yeah, we don't care. Like, okay, whatever. I will take that production on my team, I guess. Bucky and Scat in a duffel bag. Bucky or Scat in a duffel bag. Yeah, it's probably going to be Bucky. Hampton or Judkins in a 27 first. Ooh, that's interesting. You'd be getting Judkins. Yeah, that's interesting. I think for me, it depends on where that first is going to end up. If it looks like that first is going to be anywhere in that, like, I mean, if it's an early one, it's easy for me to go to Judkins. But if it's like anywhere between like 4 and 7, 4 and 8 in next year's draft class, I think I would go Judkins in the 27 first. If it's like 11 or 12, maybe you feel a little bit different. But if it's a mid first, I kind of think Judkins in the first is the play, unless you are a strong contender, Devin, and you just want production right now. And then I guess Hampton might be the play, but I think the value play is to just take Judkins in the first. Tucker Kraft in a 27 mid third, and Tua Tagovailoa in a 27 late first for Joe Burrow in a 28 mid second. How do you feel about Burrow's future in the league? I mean, for me, this one is very easily Joe Burrow. Like, super, super easily Joe Burrow. He is not somebody that I'm super worried about long-term. What do I think his future is going to be like in the league? I think he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in football for the next 5 years. It's as simple as I can really put it there. But for me, he's not really somebody I'm too worried about. I think he's going to age fine. Obviously, injuries have always kind of been a thing for him, but he's got 2 of the best wide receivers in football. Both of them locked up on long-term extensions, him as well. Defense is mediocre, which means they're going to throw the football a ton. Joe Burrow. I mean, it's just, that's what I would be doing. Yeah, I think I'd consider, I mean, like I said, if you're not a super strong contender, I think I might consider the value play and take Judkins in the first. Keeper league, keep 3, full PBR, no tight end premium, super flex. You got Lamar, Herbert, Genty, Bowers, and I have the number 1 pick. Who should I grab? London, Hurts, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Love, Nix, Herbert. Love, Nix, Neighbors, Pickens, Purdy, Olave. Okay, so of those 3, who would I be keeping? I assume is the first part of this question, right? I would keep Lamar, Genty, and Bowers. Those would be the ones that I would keep. With the number 1 pick, I would take Amon-Ra St. Brown. So, yeah, Lamar, Genty, Bowers, and I'd take Amon-Ra St. Brown with the number 1 pick. Been seeing Price go at 104 in like 50% of the time in Superflex leagues. It's just crazy to me, man. That's an issue. Like, I think this is an issue that we find out sometimes in fantasy, and there is a slight benefit to these people who draft immediately right after. There's benefits and negatives to both of them, right? But to people who draft right after the NFL draft, because you are skeptical about pushing Price too far up the board, which means you might get a value on Price. Actually, I saw a couple of leagues where he was like the 107, 108 in my drafts, but it gets dangerous when you wait too long and people start pushing him up the board over players that were clearly a different talent level than he was coming into the NFL. So just, there's pros and cons, but I would never suggest Price going ahead of Lemon, Tate, Tyson, Mendoza. I would never suggest him going over any of those guys in a super flex. What is the split between 1 QB and super flex leagues? I see most of the content is for super flex. What's the breakdown of teams you review, roster rescue? So I do reviews for all of them. It doesn't matter what type of league you have. You just got to let me know the context. But I would say most of the people who talk in our Discord, most of the people who submit trades, I'd say it's fairly heavily super flex. Myself, I play in all super flex. I don't play in any 1 QBs. I know a lot of the content, majority of the content that we make is super flex focused. So, and I think that's kind of just because most people are playing that. I know there's people out here that do play 1 QB, and there's probably a lack of 1 quarterback content out here on YouTube, but it's probably, the split is probably like 85 to 15, maybe 90-10. Like, that's the difference that I see, at least without digging too deep into the numbers. That's how it feels for me. So, yeah, it's a pretty drastic split. When are you drafting Stafford, or when drafting Stafford in startups, do you target Ty Simpson afterward, in-season insurance, and potentially preventing using a first-round quarterback next year? I don't hate that. I really don't. I think it's probably a good plan. You get production right now with Matthew Stafford, and then you secure the future insurance, like you said. So I don't have an issue with that. I actually think it's probably a fine strategy. When you look at ADPs right now, how close are they in startup ADP? I guess I'm not super familiar with where Ty Simpson's startup ADP is at the moment. Looks like Stafford is going in the late 80s, is the 87th guy off the board, and Simpson is kind of in the 120s, 115, 120 range. He's the 116th guy off the board. So yeah, it's probably about 4 or 5 rounds difference. You're missing out on like a Jaden Higgins or a QJ type player to go get yourself a Ty Simpson insurance option at QB in a super flex. I have no issue with that. I think it's a good strategy. My team is Herbert, Caleb, Love, Hampton, Love, Bucky, JCM, Jordan James, Zay Besh, Trey Harris, Jalen McMillan, Kraft, Gadsden, and a lot of fluff. Got my 27 first and 327 seconds. What would you do? Well, I think you have a really good. Also, I think it also depends on whether this is a 12 or a 10 man. But what did we say? Where did you say this was? Did you say if this is a 10 or 12 man earlier? Either way, I think you have 2 really good quarterbacks. I think your quarterback 3 is a little bit valuable for the rest of your roster. So one thing that immediately stands out to me is, can I down tier Jordan Love and down tier him to maybe let's pull up some names. I just have the startup ADP up right now, so let's just look at it. Quarterbacks only. Like, could I down tier Jordan Love into like a Baker or a CJ Stroud? I think CJ Stroud's a little bit undervalued in the market right now. I think he's overhated a little bit in the market right now. So can you go down from Love to those guys and get some draft capital or get an upgrade somewhere else? I think if I'm looking at your roster, I love what you got is in Herbert and Caleb. I like what you got in Love and Hampton. I like Bucky. I think you're lacking some depth. Gadsden's fine. You might be a little Charger heavy with Hampton, Gadsden, and Herbert, but it's okay. And Kraft. Yeah, so actually, I think if I'm you, I'm trying to use Love and I'm trying to use Gadsden to help me with some of the depth at my wide receiver position, because it feels like your wide receiver position is pretty scary with Zay, Besh, Trey Harris, McMillan. So I'm using Love and I'm using Gadsden, or even Love and Kraft if that's the case, to go get myself some wide receiver help. Use the draft, the 27 seconds as well. Try and use those. It said 12 team. Yeah, so exactly. Yeah, I think all of that is what I would do. What up, J-Mo? Says, who are you most hyped for after this week's training camp buzz? I don't know if I've gotten like super hyped for anybody in particular. I will say the one quiet takeaway for me, and I'm pulling fantasy brain out of this and I'm just putting more fandom brain into this, so just take that with a grain of salt when I say it, but I'm kind of in on the Baker Mayfield chip on my shoulder disrespect tour that's happening right now. I think my personal opinion is Tampa Bay is kind of fucking up not paying him this contract right now. I think he's earned it. I think he's played well enough. And the fact that he feels disrespected for it and is going to go make him pay for it, I think that's going to be pretty fun to watch. So I'm excited for it. I think Baker Mayfield's going to be really fun to watch. In fact, I've been looking at tickets because I want to go see a Cowboys game this year. I just moved to Dallas, at the beginning of the year. I want to go to Thursday Night Football. It's Baker Mayfield and the Bucks. Egbuka, is a guy that I've been a big fan of in the offseason. So I want to go see Baker Mayfield and the Bucks go play Dallas with Dak and the boys here in Dallas on Thursday Night Football. So I'm excited for it, man. I'm a Baker fan. I think Baker's fun. So yeah, it's that's probably the one narrative that I've been watching, and I'm like, I could see Baker going nuts this year, and that'll be good for my Egbuka shares, who I've been very adamant about. What is the value on Swift? Oh, wait, I skipped over you, Sean. I apologize. It says 12 teams, start 11, Superflex, tight end premium, PPR league. Would you rather Goff and BTJ or Baker and JMO? I would rather Goff and BTJ. I think Goff is over Baker, and I would have BTJ at least similar to JMO, probably over JMO in my rankings. So I think you get the two better guys if you have Goff and BTJ. Yeah, we're still rocking here, Alex. We got about 10 more minutes that we'll be going. My throat's starting to feel a little bit shot, I'm not gonna lie. These double live streams on Fridays, I feel like they kill me when it comes to, I don't know, I just strain on the voice or something. I don't know, whatever. This happens sometimes when I go live a lot in season. Let's see. 12 team Superflex. Would you take a projected late 27 first for a projected mid to early first? I'm assuming that's like a 28. I don't know what's going on. My cat's tripping. She just got scared. Jumped off my lap. Yeah, I assume this is 28, right? And if it's 28 early versus late 27, I would rather have the shot at the early 28 first. Johnny, I think you're trolling more than anything because that's what you like to do. But is he safe to drop? I don't think so. Not to say that I think he's going to be the starter, but from the early reports, and as a Vikings fan, I don't know how to feel about it. The early reports of training camp have been that J.J. McCarthy's outplayed Kyler Murray, which would be interesting if that happens. So no, he's not safe to drop. I think even if J.J. McCarthy doesn't end up being the starting quarterback for the Vikings again, I think another team will take a shot on him. So no, not drop worthy. There you go. Your boy Egbuka is about to eat. I hope so, man. I've been looking at Ibuka jerseys. I don't know. I got an irrational Emeka Ibuka fandom growing right now, and I love it. It's irrational. It happens sometimes. Got an offer on the table in my contender. In the contender, I've been talking about of JSN and Javonte Williams for my Ibuka 27 first, 28 first. I'm really high on Ibuka. Am I crazy for not taking that? I don't think you're crazy. I think Ibuka in a first is probably, even for the Ibuka truthers, feels like that's fair to go up to a JSN. Might even be less. So I think I'd rather have the JSN and Javonte side here. Totally agree with your Baker take. Last thing that dude needs is a chip on his shoulder. As an Ibuka owner, it has me excited. Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you guys watched, do you remember last year, there was like a Seattle Seahawks fan who was talking shit to Baker, and Baker was like, I'm coming back at the end of the game, and he was talking his shit, and they beat him. So I think anytime you get Baker fired up, it just gives him that chip on his shoulder, and he plays well. So it's always kind of been that way for him. I had Pete over at Dynasty Nerds, he asked me, he said, do you think that Tampa Bay is doing this on purpose? Like, do you think they're giving him a chip on his shoulder just on purpose? I don't think they would. But who knows? Who knows? Mid startup, Malik Willis, Jordan Addison, or Michael Wilson. I would probably go Jordan Addison here. Second choice would be Michael Wilson. 100%. 100%. I think they did him so dirty, man. You got to move this to another night or something so you don't wear yourself. Oh no, man. This is usually the way that it goes in season. I'm just getting back into the flow of things, but usually in season we're on Tuesday nights, Friday nights. I mean, I have I wrote down a rough schedule because, like I said, we're not doing the redraft content again this year. So I'm trying to figure out kind of a new flow in season for Dynasty, and I'm open to suggestions. If you guys hear this, if you're watching this right now and you have other suggestions, just hit me up in Discord or something. But Sunday I would do our start sit that we normally do, where I just kind of help you guys with start sit questions. Monday I think it's going to be like 10 major takeaways from week 3 for Dynasty, or whatever it may be, something along those lines, where we talk about Dynasty implications from each week. Tuesday is a Dynasty Q&A. Wednesday and Thursday are rotating videos, just whatever we want to talk about that week. It'll just be open. Friday's a Q&A, and Saturdays are the trade show. So, video every single day in season, all week, all year long, and lots of good stuff. I'm excited for it, man. But 3 or 4 streams a week in season is kind of the plan. Older fantasy team with Stafford, Adams, Evans, Jacobs, Kelsey. I have 327 firsts and 327 seconds. Is the play to move / less stick and pick next rookie draft, or do you have other suggestions? I mean, I'd be honest, if this is a team that you think has a chance at winning this year, then yeah, probably more or less stick and pick. But I don't know how strong this roster is. I mean, obviously you have other pieces, but this is one where if I feel like I'm in the middle of the pack, I am waiting until like week 2, week 3, and I'm starting to sell off all of these assets and liquidate them to draft capital. So this could be one where I'm either just pushing the chips in or pushing the chips out. Like, I think I'm picking one direction depending on the rest of your roster and going that way hard. So I could see this team being one that I would blow up and liquidate, though. If that's like the majority of like your high end pieces. If Stafford and Adams and Evans are like guys you're relying on every single week, yeah, I'm probably blowing it up. I'm keeping on McCarthy no matter what. He's young. He will start. Exactly, man. Like Darnold's and Baker's and all these other guys are getting multiple shots. Tua Tagovailoa got 2, opportunities. So guys are going to get multiple shots. McCarthy's just going to be one of the next guys to get multiple shots, potentially. Should our season? I like it. Appreciate you, Insidious. And then we got the last question here because we are at about the hour mark. So this is going to be my last question here. This guy wants Mahomes. My team is young, 12 team. The only people stand out on his team is Pickens and Cook. He doesn't have a 27 first. It's best to just keep Mahomes. I mean, if you have the other quarterback help and you don't need Mahomes, then I don't think it's crazy to end up, I mean, I'm just looking, I'm double checking just to make sure I'm not talking out the ass. Yeah, I don't think it's crazy to end up going like cross positionally to a guy like George Pickens or cross positionally to a guy like James Cook. So yeah, I mean, it would just come down to if you need the QB, if you need the other quarterback, like if you are moving Mahomes and need to down tier him because you still need a quarterback to play, then yeah, you'd probably just keep Mahomes. But if you already have 2 or 3 quarterbacks on your team that you're comfortable playing with right now, I'd probably consider moving straight across James Cook for Mahomes or Pickens for Mahomes if you need the help. But I don't think it's crazy. But that is it, folks. I appreciate everybody for coming and hanging out. Other than that, you know, like I said, we're doing this every single Friday. So we are in the final month before the season starts. We are about 5 weeks away, I think, from game 1, and lots of good content to come. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Do me the favor, if you're not and you're watching this either on the replay or here live right now, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, I answered a question. You just enjoyed your time with us here tonight and you haven't done so, go hit that like button for me. Really does help out the channel. I know it's just a small thing, but it truly does help us out. So hit the like button if you haven't. Go join our free Discord. I will see all of you guys for the Dynasty trade show tomorrow, and then rankings updates all next week. So until then, folks, see you on the next one. Peace out.